Hey girl, hey. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
Look
perfect.
at you. You look so great. How are you?
It's the light. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, girl. Oh my gosh. Happy Saturday, first of all.
Saturday to you too.
How are you doing?
Good, surprisingly. I think I needed this pause for a second. I think the world said take a break. So I'm taking
That's,
a break.
that's awesome to hear. So, for those of you guys who are joining in, I want to welcome you. I hope people can hear. Can you hear me clearly?
I hear you clearly. As long as you can
Okay.
hear me, I'm good.
Oh, you're on a what?
I said as long as you can hear me good, I'm good.
Oh yeah, no, I can hear you. I'm gonna just put my voice memo on because I hear like a I don't know how to explain it, like an echo, but it could literally be my phone. Long story short, me and Manny, we've been jumping between my phone, his new phone, and his old phone to try to get like the best audio. But anyways, for those of you guys joining us, there's an echo. This is just recording me. Anyways, sorry guys, technical difficulties, we're trying to get it together. But as long as you guys can hear me, as long as everyone can hear me, put thumbs up, put some hearts, let me know. So guys, welcome. It's Splendid Saturdays. Today I have my beautiful friend Chardline Chanel. Did I say it correct? Chardline Chanel.
Yep.
Perfect. She is a influencer. She is a model. She's a beauty. Not, I wouldn't say like guru, but you do dibble and dabble with skincare and beauty. You
Yep.
dabble in fitness, mental health, and a whole bunch of other things. You've traveled the world. You've seen different places, and you've even had your picture in Times Square.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
tell the world about you. Tell the people who you are.
Feel like you just said it. So, hi, Chardline, in my 30 somethings. I could say I'm 31. I'm from Roxbury, Dorchester area, right in Boston. I started off life more as a public servant. After high school, I went straight to Suffolk University, which is how I actually met Kat Bajador at the time. I met Kat, and I started to realize that I had some sort of a passion for fashion or a passion for colors, or at least empowering plus size women to feel their best and how they wear and represent themselves. So that kind of carried on while I was working in the mayor's office. I started working for Mayor Menino when I was 19. Then when I graduated college, he kept me on as a special project assistant, and I continued to work my way through city government until I decided to go into like a legal background within public service. And then I officially left that sometime in September. And then I started with the Boston Centers for Youth and Family, where I'm a resource manager. So I just pretty much help with grant writing and programming and developing reports and putting a lot of what I got in my degree from city planning into use, which I wanted to do as soon as I graduated from Boston University.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's that. But along all of that, and in tandem with all of that, I was budding my lifestyle blog. And my lifestyle blog first started off as something really small on Tumblr, where I was just reblogging things, taking
Mm-hmm.
camera pics, something very, very little, but mine. It was my baby. And then once I decided, let's just take this up a notch, I got my own domain. Actually, a friend gifted it to me, chardline.com. And from there, I ran. My boyfriend
Oh,
at the
that's a beautiful gift.
it was because I honestly would have probably stayed on Tumblr for a while, not knowing that this was an option for me. But he saw the investment in me, and he's still one of my really good friends. Um, and my boyfriend at the time was a photographer, so
Mm-hmm.
it was great that I had a head start that many bloggers didn't have, and that was having quality photos. So I was taking a lot of quality photos, and the first brand to recognize it was Ashley Stewart. So I had a campaign with them, and then it just kept, I guess, blowing up. It never actually stopped. I think I hit my, I wouldn't say my peak, but it got really, really dope when Channel 5 Chronicle reached out to me to do a segment on like
Oh,
being plus size in the industry. And from there, that's when the partnership started to roll in. And I officially started making more money as an influencer than as a city servant, which
wow.
benefits are great, trust me. great money, but not many people can like work very hard and um, like I never saw the day where I would make more in my passion than I would. And public service is my passion. I feel like both of them go hand in hand, but I never saw that I would be able to monetize this way.
Wow, no, that is incredible. So, wow, you went from working for like the city to just doing your thing full time. That's incredible.
Thank
This
you.
whole time, I thought you were still kind of working in the city, but you're doing this like full time.
No, I'm doing two things full time. I actually have talent management now, so that helps me free up a lot of this like responding back to brands and figuring all this stuff out. So I do blog full time, but
Mhm.
obviously I have to work for the city to pay the bills. And
Right,
about being an influencer is you don't get the same benefits. You don't get the retirement. You don't get the health insurance, the life insurance, the different benefits that you'd get if you had a vested job. So since I'm still working for the city, and I have an amazing boss who's she's a boss in herself. She's a makeup artist as well as a business owner, and she's the director of our office. So she gets the hustle, and it's great that for once I feel like I have people who understand me and not so much why is she dressing this way? Instead, she's like, you need to help me out. What do I need to do? And she does
right.
stuff so that, I'm in a really good synergy right now. And
Oh,
I'm very,
that's
very thankful to
incredible.
God for that because the year before this it wasn't a good year for me. So that's why it's really hard to not celebrate where I am right now, even in the midst of everything happening.
So true. No, I'm so glad you shared that story and shared that, you know, and that's real. Like when people go into this stuff, it's like you're really betting on yourself. And so I'm glad you took a chance on yourself. I'm glad you betted on yourself because now, like every time I see you post, every time I see you share any like good news, I'm like, there she goes. Like there she goes. I remember when I first met you, beautiful person inside and out, so encouraging, so bubbly, so like full of love. And I love even your website and how your Instagram really portrays that for you. So I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Because you're an influencer, is there something that you prefer way more than the other? Like, for example, do you prefer fitness over fashion or beauty over fitness? Like, which one do you love the most?
You know, I've really scaled as much as I know fashion has been like really what my driver was. I'm shifting or loving the shift that I'm making where I can
Oh,
basically
I can hear you, hon.
where I can basically make this a lifestyle thing. So it's really like as it relates to me. So um I love my fitness stuff. Like I remember going to the gym with you a couple times. I love where I can feel my body really testing its bounds because last year, probably the craziness that was 2019, I fell down the stairs and I was immobile for about a month. And I even missed Trinidad Carnival, like probably the last carnival that I know
Did
of.
you fall during the winter?
No, I fell in September. So right
Okay.
before winter came, but the the inflammation never went down, and I ended up having to not only go to my Western medical doctor, but I started going to Parsley Health, where they're Westernized trained with a lot of Eastern practices, and they
Hmm.
realized that a lot of the reason why I wasn't healing correctly was because of inflammation in my diet and the inflammation that was, in my knees and just like poor ergonomics of sitting, like, sitting with my knees bent. And then also not building up the muscle groups around the injury. So as of late, I don't know if you know Orville Joseph, but of OJ Fitz, my best friend.
Of course, we went to the same high school.
So he's actually trained and certified in the stuff. So it's the only person actually would want to build with this. And as of late, I've been doing squats again. I've been bearing a lot of pressure on my knees, and I've been scared to do so because of how much it hurt. But it was really just guidance that I needed. So I love the fitness stuff, and not so much from the place of weight loss and having to meet diet culture or having to look a certain way, but
Hmm.
feeling the way that I used to feel. I'm loving that it's, coming back for me.
Oh no, that's no. So I feel like I didn't know that about you, that you had taken a fall and then was injured for that long. I mean, to miss Trinidad Carnival for you. I mean, I'm Trinidadian, but guys, Chardline goes hard for soca. Okay,
I
she is Trini to the bone. Okay,
you know,
my Haitian sister.
it was very tough. I got placement in a private band with someone named Solange Gavia, and
Okay.
like, how'd you get in there? Like, they only take certain people. I'm like, I'm not too sure. And here I am, not even being able to wear the costume. So it was tough. It was really
Um,
tough. But hopefully, Tribe will be there for me the next time it comes back. If not, I still got my life and my health, and my knees will be ready for whenever.
oh
But
yeah, definitely. Trust me, you want your knees to be good because your knees, you need your knees. So tell me about how, okay, tell me a story. I want to hear a story. So tell me how it felt when you went to Africa. And how many times have you been to Africa?
2 times, yeah, 2 times.
Okay.
So I've been to Ghana twice.
Mm-hmm.
The first time it was not overwhelming. It was it felt like Haiti. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wow, I'm home. Like, I feel home.
Mm,
It was the first time I had gone to the slave castles, and this it evoked an emotion of just like overall thankfulness. I was very, very thankful, and I looked at people around me differently. If anyone knows me, I'm like Haitian to the bone. Like, nothing beats being Haitian. But right
mm-hmm.
there, I actually felt like, my Jamaican friend, my Ghanaian friend, my friend that's, Black American and can't trace her roots or what have you. I felt
Mm-hmm.
connected to all of them. It didn't feel like Haiti all the way. It felt like this is us, and we only got us. And I know that you've heard the cliche, we're only one boat stop away. Like, I felt it right there, because hearing how they captured, my ancestors and kind of sprinkled them throughout the world, it shows that we're pretty much all from the same place, and not to take that for granted, and not to have a separatist attitude about anything. Really
Right.
understand, like, everyone is your brother and sister. So it was humbling in that regard. And at that time, I was not in the best shape. So my first iteration of my fitness journey, I think I worked out for a year straight or so. That
Mm-hmm.
was immediately coming from that trip, because we had climbed like rainforest, and I was just like, I can't breathe, and this wasn't normal. And I knew I had St. Lucia Carnival coming up in July, so I was like, this isn't normal. I won't be able to survive anywhere. So um, it was eye opening for me in those two senses. When I went back again this year for the year of the return, it was really seeing people from around the globe. I met Black people from London, Black people from Spain, Black people from, I don't know, Russia. Like, I've met people from all over
Wow.
the world, but they were there all for the year of return. There was Afrochella that was happening at that time, as well as Afro Nation. So just meeting people on the beach, spending time with, I had 2 or 3 close friends who went with me. So it was really beautiful to really connect with them. But I saw that there was a deeper connection that I had to an ancestral lineage. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we participated in some rituals, and I'm not really too keen on rituals, especially if I don't
Mm-hmm.
know of what space that it comes from. But I always use those times as moments to connect with God, nonetheless, because I feel that I'm protected no matter what if I'm connected with God in that area, and not really just getting lost in all the hoopla. So it was
That's true.
beautiful. And my grandmother had passed last year, and it was to be able to connect with your ancestors. So it was really just the first time I've actually prayed to God about my grandmother, because I've always just been like avoiding it, because it was like a scary thing, a sad thing. So it was the first time I got to do that. And, I ended up crying on a beach and stuff like that, but it was
Wow.
the cry that I needed. It was probably a prayer that needed to come out for a long time. So I was happy to be able to be in fellowship with people and do that over there. And I was in a lot better shape. My knees still had, like, the aches and pains, but um, I was able to walk a lot further. I was able to take on some of the things that I wasn't able to do the first time.
Right. No, that's interesting that you said that, like, especially the part where you said that you had to let out a cry. I think a lot of people don't realize, but like, I remember when I went to India, for example, I had a moment with myself where I just bawled out because it's like being able to reflect on your, you know, your roots, where you come from, and then to be able to go back, you know, to the land, whether it's a specific place or in the area of, it does something to your heart, it does something to your soul. So when you said that, I felt that. I remember how I cried, so I can only imagine how you cried on the beach. So thank you for sharing that. Charlene, since you've been doing this influencing and, you know, speaking on behalf of women and mental health and fitness and beauty, tell me some of the fruits you've seen from it. Like, how have you like seen your fruits from this?
The number one thing that I've learned about each discipline or each area across the board is the sense of community, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that when you think that you're alone in something, there are about like a whole bunch of other people who are, and they find a lot of solace and compassion and just like a sisterhood or brotherhood or just a fellowship, and knowing that someone else is there and they're in that same space. Um, I know, especially with mental health, this string for me getting a therapist. And my therapist, amazing, love her, woman of color. She's from Boston. Her,
Yeah.
we have the same birthday. Talking to her helped me realize that a lot of my own behaviors were toxic. And sometimes I would even support my friends' same type of toxic behaviors. And then when I would come out and let my friends know, like, this was my experience with my therapist, in regards to what you're going through, and then I'd get this immediate backlash, like, oh, just because you see a therapist now, like, you know, all of a sudden you
Listen,
got the answers. And I'm like, it's not the answers. I'm just letting you know there's a level of recognition that we have to start to seek within ourselves, and we have to start to see where we messed up, where
yeah.
we're the people who are effing up. And within this community that I've built for myself, which feels more like a lifestyle. Like, I'm able to talk about the different things in my life that are important, whether it's mental health or fitness. Fitness seems to be one that resonates with a lot of plus size women, because as I want to empower them to be the best baddie, the best person that they are, and that doesn't have to be indicative of the size or weight that they are, I still want to empower them to understand that their health is still paramount, and your weight is not always going to equate your health. There are a lot of plus size people who run marathons. There are a lot of plus size
So
people
true.
who are very strong, who eat very well, who supersede what people think a person should be if they're healthy. A lot of people think because you're thin, because you have muscles, but sometimes you are taking steroids. Sometimes you are starving yourself. Sometimes you are addicted to meth, and that's why you're so small. I want to empower people to be beautiful and define what that beautiful is for them, but also to be healthy. And when I'm able to marry the two within my community, and people not seeing me look at this as fitness culture or diet culture or overly health conscious culture, it's beautiful, because I didn't have that. Growing up, it was always you're plus size, so you're unhealthy. I may have played volleyball, I may have played tennis, and then even in the first year of college, but none of that mattered to people because I didn't look like what healthy should be. Where healthy isn't just size, it's holistic, and mental health had to end up coming into play for that, for me at least. So,
No, I love that you said that. And I feel like a lot of people don't know that. But I remember there was a time I was working out with someone who I call a big sister. And it was around the time where she had gained a lot of weight and we nobody knew how. And so it was due to health. And I remember we were actually running in Franklin Park, you know, like where the golf course is.
yeah,
We were running and yeah, we were running and exercising there. And I remember this guy stopped and he looked at her and he said, "Keep going, keep going." He was like, "You can keep going. Why are you stopping?" But he didn't know that I was the one that was like trying to catch my breath. I was the one that was trying to keep up with her.
yeah,
And now she teaches Zumba. She does a couple of other fitness classes and stuff like that. But when I think of how people look down on women who are overweight or even men, it's like, guys, like sometimes it's not because they're overeating. Sometimes it's just how their body is built. And a lot of the time, sometimes they are healthier than us, like who like look like we're in shape. Like someone that would look at me, they'd be like, "Oh yeah." she could run, she could do this, blah, blah, but I would be winded.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad you said that. And I'm glad that you also said that, you know, for anyone who is plus size who's listening to hear it come from Chardline, someone that sat in the same place you sit in, I hope you are able to receive that and know that when you're on your fitness journey, that you can do it, that you can do it. She's someone that's proving to you, even with her knee complications and stuff like that. And I pray that's going to be removed, girl. We don't have time for that. I love my Jesus. We do not have time for your knees to be in pain, okay? Um, so when you started, you shared some of your challenges. What was one of the biggest challenge that you faced when going to being like when you became an influencer?
Um, so online trolls, being a plus size woman and being confident for wearing a two piece or whatever, being myself.
Mm.
Like I always tell my friends, prior to becoming an influencer, I was one of the most confident people that I knew. It was like no F's given. I wore whatever I wanted. I did
So
whatever.
true. I always remembered you for wearing cheetah print and like animal prints, and I was like, yeah, she's so bad.
Yeah, so then for me to become an influencer, thinking I'm going to like not really inspire, but share some of my love for fashion with others, and other people telling me you're plus size, you shouldn't wear that. Or I remember I was put in on a website, I think it was called Oh You So something, but basically I wore a gold bathing suit that I really loved, really worked hard to buy it, and they put me on a side by side with Nicki Minaj, and it was like what she thought she would look like versus what she actually looked like. And I took a really like bad hit that time because I was like, I honestly wasn't even trying to look like anyone. I was wearing a bathing suit that I spent probably $130 to get, and I thought it looked great, but apparently, a whole site that
Mm.
had like almost 1 million followers was just like, ha ha. And it didn't just stop there. I noticed that it just keeps happening. Um, when you receive hits like that, because I didn't get a lot of that growing up. My first bullies were my family, always saying, "Oh, she's too big." So you get used to those bullies, and then you kind of compartmentalize them somewhere else. Now it's just a whole new host of strangers that you've never met telling you things, and it's just like, is it true? Are you like delusional? Are you not seeing something? Are you all up in your head and they're telling the truth? And in the end, it really turned out to be it's like it's you against them thing, or it's just you, and they're going to keep talking. So instead of going back in a lot of fights, which can compromise your reputation when it comes to brands wanting to work with you. If you're looking very messy online, they're less likely to want to partner with you. So I had to learn that some things were slow to start because of what I would portray or put out there, and I've had to hear from other people. Um, After that, I just learned what the block button was, or I just learned how to really say, Charlene, like it's not them. It's, it could be that they wish they were confident enough to wear that. They don't like
Right.
it. You know what I mean? I could understand people doing things from hurt spaces. And if I'm a trigger for them because they cannot see themselves doing that, then that's a personal issue. It has nothing to do with me. So it took a while for me to kind of get that ball rolling. Um, Another thing was just understanding that consistency was key. So consistency and quality control. I really like to this day still beat myself up on like making sure you have content always ready to go because people look to you for X, Y, and Z. And especially in this midst of this pandemic, we're going to have a new normal. We're not going to go back to the way things were before. Social distancing may be in place now, but it's going to be a while before they let thousands of people in one area before one person infects thousands of people. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
starting to realize like if I can help people understand what a normal looks like for me, maybe they can adopt the normal. And that's why I would like put the music of the day and put what my day-to-day schedule will look like so that people can understand that we may be in like this what feels like a narrow field of just moving forward all the time and when is outside going to open up, but if you can make sense of what your reality is now, it'll probably do better. So then now I'm dabbling more on video, trying to learn more about like what equipment I should buy so that it could be more interactive and less um, like robotic. I participated in my first Zoom party yesterday, which was so fun. there was a lot of plus size bloggers and models and plus size people in the industry. And I was like, I missed this because typically this year we would all be in Atlanta for this all white party, but instead we're all together in different homes, seeing each other, dancing, winning giveaways. It was a really good time. So I'm starting to understand things won't go back to the way they were, and I want to adapt so I can help other people adapt as well, because I understand where this has um, a really big, it's weighing down on people's anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
not sure if they'll have a job here on out. We're not too sure like what happens from here. There are women who are pregnant. There are people in long distance relationships who can't see their partner. There's a lot going on right now, and I just want to be able to be that person that helps inserts a little bit of positivity, a little bit of order, a little bit of compassion, and that's the role that I'm trying to operate out of right now.
No, you've definitely been operating in that, and I've seen it because I remember every time I click through your story, I love that you share like what you're cooking, the ingredients that you're using, what you're making, especially for someone like, for example, that doesn't cook or someone that's home and doesn't know how to make something. At least they have someone to look towards to say, okay, well, Charlene's making this or she made this last week. I can do something like that, you know? What I remember you said something that you learned while doing, influencing and helping people by sharing your story was consistency and quality of content. How would you tell someone who's just starting off to start? Like, how would you tell them?
Our research is always going to be the best thing. In the beginning, they didn't have all these think tanks and articles and Pinterest. I tell everyone to go to Pinterest because Pinterest is nothing but a dictionary, encyclopedia, whatever you want to call it, for this type of work. So if you can really take time to research, you will find every way to do it. Um, because I feel like I'm a professional student, research has always gotten me somewhere, so much so that it led me to finding management so someone can manage me so I can effectively do both of my jobs. Because my new job, it's like I'm only 6 months in, and it's a very new land for me, but I also want to take up my blogging and my influencing, and even like some of the modeling gigs that I've had. I want to make sure that I take that up a notch every time, even in the midst of a pandemic, and partnering with people who this is exactly what they do. This is what they do for a living. And they analyze the trends and they know this is what we're going to pitch you to do. And this is how we're going to continue to make sure that you're monetizing on this brand that you put so much money into. This is how it's going to flow for you. Is great. And I think that if someone wanted to start right now, I always say, hey, to shoot me an email, because I have a starter email. And there's a lot of things that I've purchased over the years that I can't use anymore, but it would be great for you to just start taking a look at it and really building up your own repertoire so that you could become what it is that you want to do. Now, mine is not, because mine has become more lifestyle oriented, it works across the board. But there are some people who are like, I really want to get into the fitness industry. How do I do so? I'm like, the research really starts there, and I can always help where needed, because really all we have is time. I've gotten a lot of messages where people are like, hey, this is the best time for me to want to start this stuff. And I'm like, all right. And I'd always tell people, if you don't have seed money, it's going to be a little hard. In the beginning, I was the buy and return queen. So I'd buy something, then return it. Made sure that it got there safe, or go right back to the store. But that was to ensure that brands knew that I not only had someone who's taking really high res photos, and that I'm putting it on my blog, but I'm featuring a lot of your most recent stuff. Not, oh, I'm buying from Eloquii from like 1999. Yeah, no, I was just saying that um, I was really just in a space of making sure that whatever I put out there, it was always happening and always consistently happening, that it was always recent, so that I'm not talking about, unless it's evergreen content, like speaking about mental health. If I write an article around that, there's a good chance that article will always continue to circulate, because we're always looking for ways to better ourselves no matter what. But when it came to things like fashion, it's always like, if you're not on top of what's coming up in 3
So
weeks, then you're behind. So researching your industry and understanding it. Some people get very lucky because they have an aesthetic about them. The aesthetic that I've been seeing a lot has been like very long hair, you know, fair skin and stuff like that. Sometimes they just pick up a camera phone or their phone camera and then get in front of a mirror. And then there they are. They're making money. They become micro influencers. And that's not something that works for me, nor something I want to, that's not for me sustainable. You know, it doesn't help you build a network unless you become like Cardi B, who ended up on like Love and Hip Hop and stuff. That can work for you if that's your trajectory. But mine is more sustained in a business oriented fashion. So I treat things very professionally and very methodically.
Got it. That was some awesome that was awesome advice. I've never heard someone actually say research. You know, everyone always says, "Oh, make the plan, just do it." But I'm glad you said research because a lot of people don't look into the market that they want to get into. And it's easy to say a lot of these markets, especially with beauty, fashion, fitness, lifestyle, is very saturated.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find your niche and you find what you're really good at and what you really love, that's what sets you apart. So I'm glad you said research. That's very important. What does a typical day look like for you right now during this season that we're in, transitioning to the new world?
Luckily, I post it every day, so now I could say it like by heart. It always starts off with breakfast, meditation, and stretching in the morning. That starts like right at 8. Even though my work day begins at 9, I start at 8. I take a shower, I dress up, I do everything that I have to do. Makeup, usually if I'm trying to practice makeup, that's when I do it. But other than that, I just make sure that I'm doing like my 5-step cleansing on my face. Um, I also drink a tonic, a turmeric tonic every day to make sure that like at least my insides and my immune systems are great. My antibodies are fighting in the unlikelihood that something happens. Um, then I go right into work and I start to work on my primary job from 9 to 2, and then blogging 2 to maybe 7. And it's really that research, that developing content, that looking at what I'm using in my house every day and seeing how I can work with those brands to say this is something that's been helping me. So I'm going to pitch a brand called Calm. They make this magnesium drink that my holistic doctor told me I need so that I can have a little bit more, I think it was energy. So she said, you know, they did a 42 blood draw to look at every little intricacy of, yeah, I love them. I may pay $150 a month for them, but I found out I had a gluten allergy, which was helping, which was not producing a leptin, and leptin is what tells your brain, hey, you should stop eating or you've been full. So I've removed the gluten from my diet, and I'm finally like losing weight, and it's been taking so long for weight to.
Good.
So I'm not someone who takes shorts when it comes to health. I know that I need this body forever, no matter how much money, what partners come and go, the great jobs. There's no point in all of that if my body's failing me. So, with that said, um, I've been making sure that I'm taking all of those vitamins. Then I start working. I make time to check in on my friends. I have friends who are all over the world. So I may do like an hour or two phone call or FaceTime. My nieces join me. I'm surprised they haven't ran in yet, but they usually come from upstairs. I live on the first floor apartment, and they bother me for about 2 hours, which I don't mind because they keep me young and they're just so impressionable. So I like to be able to be part of their upbringing. And then at nighttime, if I'm not working out with OJ because he has access to a private gym where it's really only him that goes in there, I'll work out. I make my dinners. Usually I'll either film it or I'll think, is this really a recipe that I want to share? Or if it's not, I kind of dibble and dabble into vegan stuff. So I try to eat meatless 4 times a week. So that's been a funny thing, but it's also a good time to start something new and develop structure because there's none of this. Oh, I have to go to a party and drink, or I have to be somewhere, and a lot of hustle and bustle. Everything's really happening from home, and at most, I think I've gone to Home Depot a couple times to buy plants to really just make this place more. I
That
don't know.
makes me happy.
Yeah, I love.
I don't know if you know, but I'm a plant mama girl. So you just saying that just made me, it just made me so happy.
Yeah, no, I really, the way that you care for your plants is an extension as to how you care for yourself. So the way
Mm-hmm.
that I really pour into it, the research, the oh no, what's happening over there, and being like so obsessed about it. It's the same thing that I do with my own body. It's like, oh, you're not feeling too good. I started taking a probiotic, and I'm like, is that the reason why I'm going to the bathroom every 5 seconds? Or so it, treating yourself and treating things around you beautifully really is edifying in that sense. And I continue to make sure if I didn't get to things on my list today, that they'll be on the list tomorrow, and not to sweat it, because as long as I'm able to breathe and I'm able to work and move, that the work can continue, and I can still give people a glimpse of my life, and hopefully they can share theirs as well if they want to.
No, that's so good. First of all, I applaud you on going to see a holistic doctor. Me and Emmanuel, we actually started seeing a naturopathic doctor who has been very helpful with not only our health, but even how we see food and how we eat. Also, through prayer and revelation through God, he's been helping us through that too. But I'm glad that you took the step, because a lot of people always tend to just rely on, and there's nothing wrong with them. Do your research. For those who are listening, do your research. Do your research. Do your research. I actually want to get that information from you, because with our naturopathic, he's been sharing a couple of different things on live and stuff like that. And I just love, connecting with other people that, know about the body and what goes in the body, what's good for the body, because healing is through food. But okay, so I want to ask you, who was one person that you met on your journey, and how have they inspired you or helped you along the way?
Met on my journey. One of my close friends, she could be watching. Her name is Essie. Not really much of a sap, but like over the past few years of connecting, I've learned, like, I've watched how much she's put into her brand, how much she goes really hard for herself. So prior to us becoming really close friends, I was just a fan. I was like, oh my gosh, this girl always nails it. She looks great. Like, she's amazing. Then we connected around the time she was doing her plus size pool parties, the Golden Confidence pool parties. And I just saw that she was so human, like so regular, like not regular, like regular, degular, schmegular, but like she was someone that you could connect to. It was not hard to really connect to her. And I was like, this is someone that I would want to be friends with, because it's not like this, and in my industry, I get this a lot. Someone's head is up in the clouds, and they're not paying attention to you because you don't have the numbers, or you haven't worked with a certain brands. There were some partnerships that I got where I realized this is when people started to talk to me. But before, it was like, oh, this was just another person trying to find their way up. But when it came to Essie, she was very much like myself, someone that liked to travel, someone that wanted to do better. And because of her, I've learned that, I have to advocate for myself better. I would take $300 for something that I should be taking $2,000 for. So because of her, I've learned how to advocate for myself every time and not take the first thing offered to me. Secondly, it was always to make sure that I have that quality. Her quality is always great, and even when she can't meet the quality that she wants, she still strives for it anyways. And it shows, because a lot of the brands and partnerships that she's had over the years have been amazing, and this is what she does full time. Now, I don't know if this is something I'd ever want to do full time, but I would love to be able to succeed so much in the industry that you're not comparing yourself to others. You're just going at your own pace, and you're doing a really good job, despite a lot of what the beauty industry and the fashion industry is, which is like a lot of white women, a lot of like fair skinned people, a lot of acceptable fat bodies versus like a visible plus size woman. So Essie has been someone that's been a source of inspiration a lot. We talk almost like every day. We actually talked right before we got on the live, and she's been phenomenal. And I suggest everyone go follow her, because she's very cool. She's very candid with her audience, and she really does like incite a type of fire that I didn't always have, because I didn't have much connectivity to people within the industry.
Wow, no, shout out to her. I love hearing when people are able to connect with people who feel like the world would see as better than, you know what I mean? Like I was telling one of my friends today, well, actually not today. I've been saying it since I feel like this quarantine started. Um, the untouchables are now touchable because we're all at the same level. And I feel like we've always been at the same level, but people never realized it until I think this happened. You know, like you see, and I'm sad to say, but you see everyone affected, you know, across the board. But no, I love that she was someone that was able to just, you know, be humbled and not just that, but just be authentic and just, you know, friendly and open like that. I think that's amazing. And I think that's amazing that you're able to connect with her and be friends with her because you guys hold each other accountable now, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
which is incredible, especially with the industry that you're in. And then as women, because a lot of people think women are always going at each other. They're not like building together. But I feel like within the last couple of years, it's been more like seeing that women actually do way better when they're partnered together, you know?
Right.
So I love that. Um, what keeps you going when things get tough? And what was so you could kind of pair this question together. What was one of your biggest failures you faced? And what kept you going when it got tough?
I can't even think of a failure. Maybe that hasn't. I think it's hard for me to sink in things and stay in them and look at them as failures because even relationships I've realized have been learning lessons. So, like, I may have failed a test, but I found a way to get an A at the end of the semester, type of thing. And that's always been my motto. Um, I think my lesson has always been to bet on myself, even if things do get bad. I know in 2019, blogging took like a pretty hit, took a hit for me because my mental health took a hit for me, and I was also trying to graduate, and graduating on time was really hard. And then I was having a really hard time with my job, and you know, I I faced a sexual assault and it was really tough. It was the whole year was somewhat of a blur now that I'm rethinking on it. And I
Mm-hmm.
also felt like I was failing along the way. A lot of it sometimes was like, now what? Oh my gosh, now what? This could not possibly get worse. And then it just kept getting worse. But I realized that after every time I fell and with the help of my therapist, I realized I got better every time. I realized that I never stayed down. I realized that dating, a lot of it was relationships with men, whether it was my job, whether it was going out and meeting strangers and they didn't know how to respect themselves, whether it was meeting someone new who I thought would probably be the person I spend my life with to find out that they were in a relationship the entire time, to, um, being pregnant and thinking that I was going to be a mom and expressing to this
Mm-hmm.
person that, I'm in a space where this is what I want to do, and him telling me that, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill myself, and this is what's not going to happen for you. It was a very tough year, but I realized, like, look at 2020, like, this is not where you were. And while I felt like I kept making really bad choices or making really bad decisions that affect me long term, um, I found the gold lining of every single thing. Like, I knew not to do certain things, not to talk to certain people. If you have a gut feeling, follow that gut feeling. Like, cut
Mm-hmm.
your losses up front. Have a plan and focus. Do your research and really just listen to yourself. And that's something I've refused to do all of last year. But it really set me up for where I am now.
Chardline, thank you so much for that transparent moment. You guys throw some hearts up because that is a big deal. For a woman, listen, we all go through it, and a lot more of us go through it and don't even realize how many other women go through it as well. So thank you so much for that transparency and allowing us to hear that part of your story because it's very delicate. Okay. I always treat any story that I hear as precious jewels because it's part of your story, it's your testimony. It helps others because it's beautiful. And for any woman that's listening right now, toxic relationships really have a bigger impact on you, whether you recognize it or not. And having good girlfriends, having a therapist, first of all, therapists aren't bad. I tell all my friends all the time, if you don't have someone that you can go to and talk to, that's older than you, that's wiser than you, not like your best friend, like someone that knows life more, get a therapist, find someone to be accountable to. Because we all need that help, especially in the Black community. I feel like mental health isn't addressed, and it's not something people like look up and say, yeah, awesome, you got a therapist. They're more like, whoa, you got a therapist? Like, why? Like,
Hmm.
no, we need someone to talk to. Everyone is built off a village system. You can't just keep things in. So thank you, Charlene, for sharing that. Um, and I love how you've bloomed from that and you saw the gold lining in it and how you're using it to kind of keep you going forward. I'm pretty sure like we're all human. We always think back and, not that we regret, but those things sometimes they do. I don't want to say haunt because nothing can haunt us, in my opinion. But it could like, sadden you, but I'm glad that you're using it as fire for you to keep going forward. So thank you for sharing that. Um, can you share with us a childhood memory that has a lot to do with who you are today?
I don't really remember much of my childhood. I do remember my grandmother being a big impact in my childhood. Like everything, I've noticed even people, like, I have a niece who, when she came out, she looked just like my grandmother. My grandmother had died 2 months before she was born. And I just noticed so many actions that she had that are very much like her. And I realized that more often than not, God reveals people to me that have those type of actions. Like for a perfect example, my friend Niviana, probably the sweetest person you'll ever meet. Very, very kind, very nice. She has so much of my grandmother quality. She's an amazing mom, so she's always pushing forward. I get so like emotional when I talk about her because she's amazing. But
Hey, girl, do it.
she's amazing. She does great stuff. But I see my grandmother in her all the time. Whether it's I'll be there, whatever you need. She's amazing. So that often reminds me in my adulthood to always harness grandma. Like always remember
Mm,
to lead with a lot of that love and affection and open arms that she had. And I remember running away from home, which really meant like running next door to her house. I stayed with her for like 3 months, and she was just like didn't question what happened between me and my mom,
mm.
her daughter. She was just like, "You're good here. You can stay here. I got you." So, um, and that's just always been prominent when it came to thinking about my childhood was my grandmother,
No, that's beautiful. I love that you see your grandmother even today through your you said cousin
my best
or
friend,
your
Nene.
best friend, I'm sorry. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Charlene, as we begin to wrap up, I have three last questions for you. One being, well, four, technically. One, what would you tell your 13-year-old self?
Um, boys aren't bad. You just gotta shit. I like I said, relationships with men have really like been the only real place where it's been hard to come back from. And when I open up my heart to people, it it sucks when you're not treated with the same regard. So I would tell myself like it's not guys that are bad. It's just like society can be bad, and that's why they are the way they are. Whether it was guys who were making fun of my weight, whether it was guys who tried to use me for whatever. I mean, dating as a plus size woman is its own monster, and I did not know that at 13 that I assumed that by the time I was 21, I was supposed to be married and getting ready to have kids and all this other stuff. And when I didn't feel disappointed where I didn't get that even now, but at 13, I was just like, I don't feel like I'll ever get there because you don't look
Mm-hmm.
like the person that is going to get all that. When you watch TV, the person that usually gets all that is like a pretty light skinned girl with really nice curls and all this other stuff. And you don't look like that now. And you don't know how to get there. I was not one for throwing up or like trying to make myself turn into something I couldn't because I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to do that. So I was just like, you're going to have to figure it out. But at 13, I didn't think that would be me. So I could really wish I would like look back and say like that person's out there for you. Your purpose is out there for you. Your purpose may not even be to be married. Who knows? Your purpose may be to be something else. And I'm still discovering that now.
Mm-hmm. Well, girl, I'll tell you right now, I see you as a mom already, and you're a fabulous mom because who you are is just, I mean, girl, you're for the win. My next question would be, what would you tell your 50-year-old self?
50. So my mom.
50 girl. 50 girl.
You still
Your
got
old self.
it. I would always say, tell myself, you still got it, but just don't remember to nurture that inner child. Don't remember that, like, if I pray that I'm a mother by then, but just remember, like, where you were when you were young, and when you see kids and they're making their mistakes, like, don't be like how your parents were, which was like immediate, you're bad, you're wrong, blah blah blah. Like, you want to be a little bit more insightful, you want to be a little bit more thoughtful, you want to really take time to realize that yelling isn't the solution, but understanding is, and understanding comes with a lot of patience. Back to honing in on my grandmother, I'm not going to say she never yelled, she was still a Haitian grandma, but she had understanding and she had compassion, and I want that to be able to be something that I want to continue to foster, and for it to grow and to be able to pass that on to others, especially my kids.
No, that's amazing. Chardline, one of my last questions would also be, if you could give advice to the world to shed some light, what would it be?
I was actually talking to one of my good friends about this last night. We had one of those like heart to hearts, and he was telling me like he wants to start leading more with love. And I think that if we can find time to lead more with love, I mean, we have one of the most different type of presidents, but I do think that if we lead more with love instead of hate, we get somewhere faster, stronger. Um, we're not at each other's necks, at each other's, like, finding reasons to be separate from others. Because right now we're all in this together. We're all locked down. We're all in a place where we can't connect with each other the same way that we used to. So let's pump our brakes for a second and realize if we lead with more compassion and just listening to what they're telling us to do, then we can get through this in a better way versus um, just going at people for what their ideologies are at the moment, or attacking people for what their differences are. I'm seeing a lot of things on social media, and I'm like, I can't believe, aside from seeing people losing their grandparents and their friends every single day, at least 2 or 3 posts a day, I'm seeing this. And I'm like, the world has so much hurt right now. I can't imagine that we're doing anything but giving each other right now virtual hugs. That's all we should be doing, is spreading that love, because healing is going to be paramount more than anything. And if we can just like get from in front of ourselves and kind of like stand beside each other, it would be a lot better.
That's incredible. Lead with love. I love that. Thank you so much, Charlene, for joining me today. If anyone has any quick questions, we have about like maybe 6 minutes. You can ask it and maybe she can answer it right now, or you guys can connect with her on her social media. I know if you click at the top, I think it's this side or this side, one of the sides. It's okay. Her handle's up there, and she also has an amazing website. Probably won't have enough time for the question because I'd want her to really be, able to give all of it. But Chardline, thank you so much. Okay. My husband just asked me to ask you the cereal question.
Hey.
Are you ready?
Manny. I'm ready, Manny.
Manny and I always ask people this. What goes in the bowl first? Milk or cereal?
If you don't put cereal first, then what happens, like, when you realize, oh my gosh, there's not enough milk? You gotta put the cereal back in there, but like then you gotta what? Strain the milk back into the or like you don't know if it went bad. So what if you go and put it, then waste your cereal because it went bad? You didn't know.
Cereal first all day. That's what I'm talking about. This is why we connect. This is why I love you, because I try to understand that too. I'm like, I don't know how anyone could just be like, oh yeah, let's just pour milk in a bowl and then be satisfied to then put cereal. It's like, nah, it doesn't work like that. You're either not gonna have enough milk or you're gonna have soggy cereal, and that's just not it. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Everyone, please go and follow Chardline, help her, support her. She has amazing content. If you're a plus size woman, she has amazing fashion references. Oh, are you still partnered with Ann Taylor? Are you still doing work with them?
They're forever a family. Loft is always going to be a family for me. We do have some
Secure it
coming up, so I'm excited for that. I love them. I'm an optimist for life. They gave me my first major, like big thing for me. So there's so much love there. I'll always promote them, and I actually do like their clothes. Like you can dress it up and dress it down. It's cute. You can wear it from almost anywhere. So and they got the best jeans. Bring up the bumper just right. Like I love
Ooh,
it. I love it.
you better go ahead. No, I love that. And they were the ones that put you on the big stream in New York, right?
Yep. That was
That's what I'm talking about. When you ever posted that, I was like, she better go ahead beat in Times Square like that. That was amazing, huh?
it was beautiful. Like, and it was in 150 stores around the nation. So when I had followers who were like taking pictures of me at their local loft store, I'm like, I never thought at 13, the girl who thought she didn't look like the picture of what should be right after is in the windows and is representing herself and her size 22 body. So it was a beautiful thing.
Oh, that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for shedding some light. And Chardline, I hope to have you again on this little
Of course.
Saturday series that I have. Guys,
Huge.
go follow her. She's
Beautiful.
incredible. She's beautiful. Look at her. Like, just bold and brilliant. Thank you so much, Chardline. Is there anything else you want to say before we close out?
No, I just tell people lead with love, lead with compassion, go outside for 30 minutes, breathe because your skin will break out. And just don't take this as a time to gorge. Like, it's okay that we're learning what our coping mechanisms are, but you have to take care of yourself or else you may end up being one of the people that, we're treating in the hospitals. So,
Right. So good.
yeah.
Charlene, thank you so much. I love you so much, and I hope to talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Goodbye.
Bye. All right, guys. We've done it. Another splendid Saturday in the books. Did you guys enjoy it? Was it something that you liked? Can I see some hearts? Can I see how you guys are doing? I got maybe 3 more minutes with you guys. Hearts, anything, love. How y'all doing? Did y'all enjoy that? What is one thing you took from that? Just let me know. I just want to know. Anyone typing? You're probably typing. I'm going to give you a moment. Or maybe you're not typing. Daphne, yes, you loved it. Gael, it was good. Naomi, it was good. Yes. Nadine, you liked it? I'm so glad you guys loved it. If you guys didn't know Chardline, now you know her. Her story is incredible. She's just everything I thought she would be. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this Saturday, this splendid Saturday segment that I had today. I really enjoyed it. Charlene definitely put a pressure on me to go do some more research with some things that I want to get my hands in. Because now's the time to start, guys. Start whatever has been on your heart to do. You got this, okay? I'm going to close out with that. You got this, okay? You got this. And keep shining, baby. That's it. Keep shining. I love you all. See you again. DM me if you want to chat. That's it. Peace out. A-Town down.